Hello, welcome back to Whisky Wednesday. Another Wednesday, another whiskey with me, Ben, not Joe, which is probably confusing a number of you, wondering what on earth is going on. I have hijacked Joe's channel, and if you don't know who I am, my name is Ben Bowers, and I am in the middle of, or just over the middle of, a year-long challenge to raise money for the Children's Heart Surgery Fund, which is a charity based in Leeds in the UK. Which helps children and their families who have to undergo operations and difficulties caused by congenital heart defects. So the challenge that I've set myself is to sample and review on video 366 whiskies in 366 days, and these are whiskies from 366 completely different distilleries or brands. So it's got to be kind of all completely different. Now what I have done is I've hijacked Joe's channel, Whisky Wednesday, and these are my demands if you want Joe to return to give you his reviews, which I know are probably more popular than mine. At the moment I am trying to raise £5,000, and currently at the time of recording I have £922 towards the goal. Now I know Joe gets at least 500 views for each video, sometimes even 1,000, which is absolutely fantastic and way more than I've got, which is fine. That's not a problem at all. Not that I'm jealous whatsoever. So what I would like you to do is I need each and every one of you that are watching this video to go to this web page, which is my Just Giving page, and I need you to donate £1 towards, minimum £1. And if I can get past £1,000, so that's only about 80 quid, so I only need 80 of you to do a minimum of £1 towards my Just Giving page, then I'll send Joe back. He's currently chained up in my cupboard under the stairs, and I'm not going to let him out until I hit the £1,000 mark. That might not strictly be true, but Joe's asked me to upload a review, and basically if you can get me over that £1,000 mark, that would be absolutely fantastic. And hell, if you can donate more than £1, that would be even better. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, the address is here, but to be honest, I'm not looking for subscriptions or anything like that. I'm really just trying to get the word out in terms of what I'm doing and trying to raise as much money for the charity as possible. So the whiskey I'm going to do for you is also going to be part of my challenge. So this little bit is almost a bit of bonus feature for Whisky Wednesday viewers. And what I'm going to have to do is cut in to do my personal one, which will be dram 213 of 366. So pause. And hello everyone that haven't joined me from the Whisky Wednesday channel. If you getting a little bit confused as to why I'm starting like this, go on to Joe Ellis's Whisky Wednesday page and you'll see that I've also hijacked his channel for a week as well. So this is dram number 213, and this was a very, very kind donation from Billy Abbott, who works at the Whisky Exchange. Lovely fella he is, far less grumpy than Ollie Chilton as well. And this is another Canadian, because I'm going through my run of Canadian whiskies, and this particular one is called Lot 40. Now, Lot 40 was originally launched in, it's about 1992. It was part of a range that was launched by a distribution company in Canada called Corby's, who were looking to kind of premiumise Canadian whiskey. Malt whiskey and American whiskies, Scotch whiskey and American whiskies were becoming more and more premium, expensive, limited edition bottlings and things like that. And Canadian whiskey was lagging a little bit behind. So Corby's decided that they were going to launch a range called, as though it was from the Canadian Whisky Guild. And this was a range of relatively limited edition, kind of small batch whiskies, of which Lot 40 was one. Now, it tailed off in the 2000s. It was essentially at the turn of the millennium. It died a bit of a death and disappeared. But Lot 40 itself was actually pretty popular. I think another one was Gooder and Wirtz, and I can't remember. There was at least 3 in this collection, should we call it? I've just realised that this one is leaking as well. How did that not leak in the post? In 2012, Pernod Ricard decided to relaunch Lot 40 because rye whiskey is big. Rye whiskey, particularly in America, in American whiskies, is really becoming a big thing. And Pernod Ricard wanted to really tail onto that. And Canadian are becoming more and more popular as well. It's growing a lot in the market. So they basically took a decision to go, right, do you know what? We had this Lot 40. It went down very well. It was kind of surplus to requirements. Let's relaunch it. So although I've been sent this is what the bottle looks like. And you're looking at about $40 to $50 in America. Whiskey Exchange and Master of Malt are actually selling it, but both of them are out of stock, so I've no idea how much it's going to be over here. I'm going to guess at about 60 to 70 quid probably. We're looking at 90% rye and 10% malted rye, and it is made at the Hiram Walker Distillery, which is in Windsor, Ontario. So, if you're watching from Whisky Wednesday, my challenge rules are that I only do a 25ml shot. So I have a jigger, and I only do a 25ml shot. So it's not like Joe's very, very healthy measures that he gives himself. Because I'm doing one a day, I have to be pretty strict on myself to make sure that I still stay well within the UK government regulations, which is 14 units a week. Now a 25ml shot of a 40% whiskey is the equivalent to 1 unit of whiskey. So theoretically, if I just stuck to 40% whiskies, I could actually do twice as much of the challenge and still be at government regulations. Now this is 43%, so it's very, very slightly over a unit. But that's my challenge. So I know Joe pours about half a pint, but I'm not going to do that myself. So in terms of age, no age statement on it. I think it's about an 8-year-old, but I'm not 100% certain. I couldn't really find any details other than the mash bill itself. Really nice, healthy colour. Now, Canadian whiskey is slightly different to American whiskies in that, particularly with bourbon as such, you're not allowed to add any colouring to it. You're not allowed to add any additives. You've got to mature it in, particularly with straight bourbon, you've got to mature it in brand new oak casks. Canadian whiskies, you can actually do 9.09, so it's 90.01% of the whiskey has to be Canadian whiskey in order for them to call it Canadian whiskey on the label. The other 9.09% can literally be anything. It could be anything. I'm not sure what the rules are in terms of adding colouring, but the fact that you can put anything in it, as with the Alberta Dark Batch Rye, which is a Canadian rye whiskey that also has bourbon whiskey and sherry in, physical sherry added into it, I can imagine they're quite lax on the colouring as well, because this is a pretty healthy, deep, very deep amber colour as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if colouring's been added into this. There's a lovely spiciness on the nose though. It's a real kind of cinnamon and orange peel. It's quite Christmassy, but it's not a rich Christmas cake. It's very much a dried Christmas spice feel. So it's almost like if you took a fruit cake but took all the fruit out and was left with almost like the dry ingredients of the fruit cake before you added all the fruit in together. So it's almost like flour and orange peel and cinnamon and nutmeg. And there's a bit of clove in there as well. It starts to get a little bit peppery, but it's a lovely intense nose, but it's not too overpowering. It's not quite sweet enough and rich enough to be a Christmassy feel, but it's on those lines, definitely. It's very much the dry ingredients of a Christmas cake. And that carries on as well. Definite orange peel on there. Slightly citrusy, a bit of lemon zest is going in as well. There's a lovely bready feel. Now, on my previous video, the one I previously filmed, because I'm doing this slightly in advance for Whisky Wednesday, the Dram 209 was Crown Royal, but I also did the Northern Harvest Rye, and that was really heavily rye bready, which like sourdough as well, which I'm not overly keen on, and it didn't quite work for me. This has rye bread, but it's not quite as sour as the Northern Harvest Rye was. There is that bite, there is that edginess to it, and there is that dry sort of the types of bread where you tend to get the seeds on the top of it as well, and like a really kind of a solid brown bread, should we call it. But this has fruitiness to it as well. I almost wish I'd saved some of that Northern Harvest Rye, because I think in terms of the mash bill it's fairly similar, but this has added fruitiness. There is a really nice orange peel, also dried oranges on there as well. There's a little bit more of a sultana raisin dark fruit vibe in there as well. It's not obvious, but it's just there in the background. And what that does is that it tempers the rye-ness, for want of a better word. It tempers the sour notes that you can get on a rye that I particularly picked up in the Northern Harvest rye, knocks that down a bit and lifts this fruity element up as well. This is an absolute cracker. This is really, really good. It's a really, really good Christmas whiskey. If you like your whiskey spicy. There is a definite cinnamon, there's a slight clove feel to it, there's a little bit of cardamom in there as well, with a lovely rye bread, brown bread character to it as well. It's almost like you can get these fruit loaves, and I'm not talking like a saurine malt loaf, which is really dense and rich and sweet. What I've started to see now is fruit loaves. If you're in the UK, Warburton do a really good fruit loaf where it's more of a brown bread, where it's got fruit studded inside it, and this isn't too similar. It's almost as though this takes, instead of a brown bread, this takes quite a dark rye bread and adds dried fruit elements into it as well. And it's absolutely brilliant. It works really well. And it's strange how personally this works so much better than the Northern Harvest rye, simply with this added element of fruit. Knocks the harshness down, knocks the sourness down, brings the fruit up, and just works so much better for me. I think it's absolutely brilliant. Now, Joe at Whisky Wednesday, all the videos he does, he gives it a score out of 10. On mine, if you've not seen any of mine before, I don't give a score because I'm not a big fan of giving scores. I think instantly you begin to get some kind of judgment by going, I think it's an 8 out of 10, I think it's a 9 out of 10, I think it's a 4.5 out of 10. You're always going to get people that disagree with it. I think I did about 2 where I thought about doing a whole run where it was basically yay, nay or maybe in terms of it's okay but not that great. And even then, it's all personal taste. You know, my tastes are completely different to everybody else's. I like whiskies that other people absolutely hate. Conversely, I've had a few whiskies where I really not liked it and other people absolutely love it. But for Joe's benefit, I will give this score out of 10. I think it's very, very good. And so far, it's the best Canadian that I've had so far. Bearing in mind that I have got a couple before this launches on my Dram a Day channel, which may be better. I don't think they're going to be, knowing what's probably coming up. Solid 8.5 out of 10, possibly 9. In fact, I think I'm going to give it the edge and give it a 9 out of 10. That is a really, really good whiskey. It's a really good rye whiskey as well. It's a good Christmas whiskey. It's good for people that like a bit of spice, but also like a bit of fruitiness. Yeah, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I think it's absolutely fantastic. So, Dram a Day viewers, I shall see you at the next one. Whisky Wednesday viewers, you know what you have to do. You've got to go and visit my website, Just Giving page. In fact, I'm going to put it back up now to remind you. At least £1 from each of you people watching this will get me over the £1,000 mark and hopefully beyond. At least £1, not just £1, hopefully even more than that. And if you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, it would be lovely to see you. If not, I do apologise for butting in, but it's for a good cause. And yes, Lot 40, if you can find it, get hold of it. Fantastic. Right, cheers.